Hello, I am Ashok Muthuswamy, and in this module, we are going to discuss about executing and managing projects in CCPM methodology using BM3 software. The chapters that we are going to discuss in this module include executing projects, updating and managing task completion, analyzing dynamic critical chain, managing task managers, monitoring projects through fever charts, managing programs through multi-project fever charts, and creating pipelines and folders. Now that we have staged the projects, let's go ahead and execute them. To execute a project, first you need to get the projects into execution mode. So if you see this column, the status column, you see all these projects are in staggering status, and we need to change them to executing status. And we do that by clicking this edit icon, this particular icon. I click this one and it will throw open this window, and I can just pull down the executing status from this menu and say OK. So like that, I will be doing the same for the other projects as well, putting all of them in executing mode. And if you see here, the status of this project got updated to executing mode, and I will do the same for the rest. Okay, so all these 4 projects are put into execution mode, and now let's go ahead and execute these projects. Okay, so after doing all these planning and staggering and doing all these administrative aspects, finally we are ready to execute a project, and let's see how to do that. To execute a project, first you need to click this project title. So let me go ahead and click that, and that will throw open this browser. And I have to go to execution and PM tasks, and once I click that, I will get this particular page where I can execute each of the tasks in a project. For example, for this particular task, which is to fit window frame, first what I need to do is I need to start this task. So I need to press this button. I just click this button and it will ask me a question whether I want to get this task as started, and I say OK. We have to be careful because once we start, we cannot again go and mark the project as not started. So we just need to make sure that the project is really started. So I say OK, and you can see that the project got changed, and you can also see instead of this arrow, you see this checkered flag which says that this project this task has been started. And now to complete the task, what I need to do is again click this icon, and it'll give me this complete icon, or rather complete symbol. So this task has been started and then completed. And let us again do the same thing for some other task. So let me again start this task. If I click it, it will show as it has started. So I can just keep on updating the tasks. To start a task, I just need to check this icon, and to show that it is completed, I just need to again check this icon, and it will mark it as completed. So I can go ahead and do that. Similarly, I can also assign a task manager for any given task. So I can click this task manager icon, and I can assign a particular task manager. So I'm just going and doing this updating for a few of the tasks in my project, and I'm getting them started and showing them as complete. I also want to ensure that the task managers for my projects are assigned. So I just select one of these guys. So that's how you get a project, repeat. So that's how you get a task started and completed. And you can also add few other things. There is a checklist, and you can put some details into the checklist. You can say check for quality per SOP, and you can say OK. So there is a checklist which anyone who is performing the task can go and ensure that they are complying to that, and they can say that it is completed and it has been checked for quality. And I'm closing it, and again I'm also going and completing the task as well. First I need to get it started, then I need to then go ahead and close it. So that's how you can use these icons to start a project, to complete a project, to add a checklist, to assign a task manager, and so on and so forth. There is one aspect that I want to touch upon. If you complete a task, and in this case this is a task that has been started, as you can see by this checkered flag which says that the task has been started and it is ongoing, and if I am marking it as complete, all that I need to do is just check this checkered flag as I mentioned earlier, and I get this completed icon. Now I realize that I have not completed this task and I want to not mark it as completed. Then all that I need to do is just again go and click in this complete icon and then clear this RDU, and it says, are you sure you want to clear RDU? And I say OK, and the complete icon disappears, and this task still shows as open but not closed. So the only issue is, if you start a task, you cannot unstart it. But if you complete a task by mistake, you can go ahead and make it open. There is one more feature to mark any delays. For example, let's say this particular task, which is build walls with frame. And if I'm going to anticipate any delays so that I cannot start this project, all that I need to do is just go to this particular icon, and I can say, it will take me estimated duration, it will take me 15 days, and the reason for delay, I can also put material not available, and I can add some description. If I have any more detailed information, I can add that as well, and I can say OK. After updating the tasks, you can see that the fever chart is presented for this particular project, for which we entered and updated the task. And I will get into the fever chart in a little while, but before that, what I will do is I will go ahead and update the tasks for other projects as well. And as you know, to update the task, you just need to click that particular project, and it will take you to this window. Then go to execution PM tasks, and then you will get all the tasks that you need to enter. And you will also see one particular point here. You will see that offset days, 30 days, as of 13th of June 2016. So what this means is that the task for completion in the next 30 days, that will be presented in this screen. If I want to see the tasks coming up in the next 90 days, what I need to do is go and change this offset days from 30 to 90, and I say OK. And I have to hit this calculate button. And now you see I have more tasks coming up. So let me go ahead and enter the status of the task. For the theoretical purpose of this training, I'll just go ahead and mark these task status as complete. Okay, so like that I kept on updating a bunch of tasks. Showing them as started and then again showing them as completed. And it's always better to hit this calculate window so that it updates the status. Okay, so now let me go to my server page and again refresh the server page. You remember, if you click this being management tree icon, the server page will get refreshed, and now I'm also seeing another fever chart for this latest project that we entered. So likewise, I'll go ahead and enter for a few other projects. Meanwhile, I went and updated the tasks on the other few projects. Now you can see that all these projects got this fever chart, and I will explain what fever chart is in this session. In a real project environment, this is how a typical pipeline will look like. You will have all these multiple projects and various stages of their life cycle. Some projects will be in execution phase, some project will be planning phase. And for those projects that are in the execution phase, you will see the fever charts here. Let's go to one of these projects and take a look at the fever chart. So let me go to this particular project. Okay, so here is my fever chart. What this fever chart explains me is how am I doing as far consuming the buffer. And I can also click this detail link and I will get a bigger fever chart. As you can see, this project has multiple tasks, in fact hundreds of tasks, and all these tasks were updated and they were consuming the right amount of buffer. And now here is where this project is. It is in a fairly healthy state. So typically a project is considered to be fully in green when it closes and it only consumes 70% of the buffer, as you can see here. So in the x-axis you have the percentage of tasks completed in the chain, and in the y-axis you have the buffer consumed. So for a typical project, it is considered to be in green when it only consumed around 75% of the buffer when all the tasks are completed. And then here is a band. There is a yellow band and then there is a red band. And BM3 also gives the ability for each user to change these settings. In this project, the green band ends at 75% of the buffer, and then the yellow band kicks in at 90%, and the rest of them are red. And once you consume more than 100% of the buffer, the project goes in black. Similarly, here the green band also starts at 15%, and the yellow band starts at 30% of buffer consumption. So you can change all these parameters. You can tailor your own fever chart to suit the nature of your operations. Here is one typical fever chart. And let's also get into some of the details. As you can see in this fever chart, this project only consumed 30% of the buffer, as you can see in this axis. So I have only consumed 30% of the buffer, whereas I have completed 49.6% of the tasks in the critical chain, as I can see in this axis. So this project is in green. So let's take a look at a few other projects. Maybe I'll take a look at this particular project. This project has been completed, and as you can see, I have completed 100% of the task, whereas I have only consumed 5.5% of the buffer. So what this says is that next time when I'm working on a similar project, I can tighten my task timelines and I can be more aggressive in planning. And let's take a look at yet another project. Here is one more project, and as you can see, I have completed the tasks, and my entire project consumed very little buffer, and it's all in a healthy state. And as I discussed while showcasing the previous project, I will be more aggressive in setting up the task timelines next time when I am working on a similar project. Let's go back to our server page. So here in this column, you can get a quick snapshot of where all these projects are and at what stage they are individually. And if you want to see the health of all these projects in a single view, you can click this multi-project fever chart. So now this multi-project fever chart gives me an idea about where all these projects are. As you can see here in the screen, here are a couple of projects which just got started, and here is one project which is right in the yellow phase, and then there are a few other projects at different phases. So this multi-project fever chart will be a very handy tool, especially when reporting to top leadership about giving an account of the health of the projects in your portfolio. And also, it will be very handy if you want to prioritize projects. For example, here this project is entering into yellow phase, which is okay. If this project crept in this direction and entered red phase, what I can do is I can take some of the resources that are deployed in the projects that are in green phase, and I can put those resources to this project which is in red. I can bring it back to yellow or green. So it also helps you to manage your portfolio. And if I need to get the title of the project behind the dots, there are a couple of ways. One is I can just scroll my mouse and I can see what project it is, but there is also one more way. I just click this button and it gives me all the labels behind each of these projects. I just explained about the fever chart boundaries, and now let me also discuss about how to customize the boundaries of fever chart. So let's go to one typical project. So I'm going to this particular project, I'm clicking it, and this fever chart opens up in another tab in the browser. So as I explained earlier, currently the project is set up in a way the green line runs from 15% when x is 0, and it goes until 75% of the buffer consumption when x is 100. If you want to change this, it is possible. There are a couple of ways you can change. One is you can change for the entire pipeline, you can change. And if you also want to change it for any given particular project, you can also do that. So in this case, let me go ahead and change this fever chart setting for this particular project. So for that, I just need to get into the schedule window. So I just click this icon and I'm just opening this schedule view. All that I need to do is go to Tools, Project Setting, and I can go to Fever Chart, and I can change these values. For example, let's say I want the yellow zone to start at 20 and end at 80. Similarly, I want the red zone to start at 35 and end at 95. And let me say OK. And I just need to save this to server. And I can also click this Show Fever Chart. So now I have changed the boundary of my fever chart for this project, as I explained. Earlier, the boundary of green will end at 15% in this axis, and it will go all the way up to 75% here. Now I have pushed the entire green zone by 5 percentage points, and also the yellow zone by 5 percentage points. So you figure out what settings will work for you, but what I recommend is just leave the default. That is typically good for most of the projects, but in case you have a very specific need and you want to have a customized fever chart, then here's how you can do it. Now I want to discuss about managing the upcoming task. If I'm a project manager and if I'm running multiple projects, and I will have several tasks, sometimes hundreds of them in a given period of time. So let's say a week, a couple of weeks, or on a given month. And these tasks will be performed by a bunch of different individuals. We call them task managers. So if I have that many tasks, how do I manage those tasks as a project manager? So that's where we use this option called Task Management Center. If you go to Task, click Task Management Center. Once you click that, you'll get into this window where I can search the upcoming tasks. So in this case, so let us say I want to search all the tasks that project manager 21 is supposed to do. I just click this one and say OK. And here also you see, I want to see the task that this person is supposed to do for the next 60 days. And if I click search by above criteria, and I can use any of these filters. I can use these filters for task manager, project, and bunch of other stuff. And if I click this search by above criteria, it will present the list of tasks that are supposed to be completed for that given task manager or project manager, depending on how we selected that search criteria. So now for this project manager 21, for the next 60 days, this person has all these different tasks that needs to be completed. So there are around like 46 tasks in the next 60 days for this person to complete. And I can also change the window. So instead of 60 days, if I'm selecting 15 days, which is roughly 2 weeks, then obviously I will get a smaller list. So this person, in the next 15 days, this person needs to do these 5 tasks. So this is how I manage my tasks and also my task managers. And by the way, I can also update the task in this window. So if I'm a task manager, I can select all the tasks that I am owning, and I can update here itself for multiple projects instead of going to each and every project and updating the task. So there are a bunch of different options about how to update the tasks. There is a feature called Project Memos where you can put some execution related information which you want to note down. So for example, let me go to this particular project and I'm getting this fever chart. As you can see, this project is going on fast track. Maybe one of the prime reason could be that we ordered a critical material from a vendor, and also another customer also ordered that critical material, but that customer canceled that order. So therefore the vendor is sending us the material that was ordered for another customer, so that we are saving several weeks of lead time. So if I want to explain the reason behind the early execution of this project, I can just go and input that piece of information. To do that, I need to go to Execution, Project Memos, and I can click this new memo, and I can put whatever relevant date it is, and I can say project speeded up. I can put a title and I can say vendor performed unexpected early delivery, speeding up of, maybe I'll add of critical hardware, and speeded up the project. So I just say okay. So this memo is going to be there for me next time when I'm reviewing this project, and if I know why it is going fast, there is already this info. Or similarly, if a project is delayed, I can also put relevant information so that all project related info is stored in this software tool itself. That way you don't need to relay other documents like Word documents or PowerPoint or anything else. You can put all project related information directly into this software. In this software, there is a feature to find out the prevalent critical chain at any given point of time. When we plan a project, we will come up with a particular critical chain, and as we execute the project, that critical chain will change. So this software has a mechanism to track the most prevalent chain, and it uses the same name. It is called the most prevalent chain. So it has a feature to find out what is the most prevalent chain at any given point of time that should be focused. To identify the most prevalent chain, all that we need to do is just go into the schedule window. So I just click this blue icon and I get into the schedule window, and in the Gantt chart mode, so I need to go to Analyze and click on Penetrating Chain, and I see the actual real-time critical chain for this project. Even though we don't call them critical chain, we call them most penetrating chain, but I could see the dynamic critical chain, which is, like I said, called penetrating chain. So this is the first most penetrating chain, followed by another chain, so like that, and so on and so forth. That way you can figure out what are all the key activities that need to be completed. Let me explain this most prevalent chain using another project. So for example, on this particular project, here is where I am, and I want to see what is the most prevalent chain. So I click this schedule icon, so I get to the schedule of the project. So as I explained earlier, to see the most penetrating chain, I just need to go to Analyze and click on Penetrating Chain. So here I get that this is my most penetrating chain which I need to focus on. This is the first chain, and then there is also another chain, but this is the chain that I need to focus. And there is also few inputs here. One is project buffer information. So the size of my project buffer is 99.5 days, and the days remaining in my buffer is 84 days. I have only consumed 14% of the buffer, so I'm in a fairly healthy stage. Similarly, my project was supposed to be finished on 29th of December on 2016, whereas it will be completed a couple of, or maybe 3 months earlier, by 28th of September 2016. Maybe because, as I mentioned earlier, one of the critical components, I got it because another customer canceled the order for that hardware, so the vendor is directing those supplies to me, so I got lucky. So this is where you can use this most penetrating chain to understand the current critical chain and ensure that activities in that critical chain are performed without any delay. When you have completed a project, you want to close it in the system, and to do that you have to go to this edit icon, click that, and you can change the status of this project to finished, or if it is suspended or cancelled, whatever the reason, you can click any of them so that you will be able to update the status of the project. Here I have not closed this project, so I'm just saying cancel. So it stays, the status stays where it was earlier. So now let's discuss about some administrative aspects, and let us see how to create a pipeline. To create a new pipeline, what you need to do is go to pipeline and then list and click that, and once you did that, you'll get this listing of all the pipelines. And if you want to create a new pipeline, all that you need to do is click new, and you can create a new pipeline. Similarly, on an existing pipeline, if you want to add folders, for example, here in this case, I'm in this training pipeline. If I want to add more folders to the training pipelines, I can click this particular icon so that I can have multiple folders. Let me show you in this example. So in this particular case, I have one folder, and under each of that folder I have multiple subfolders. So this will help me group projects into appropriate categories so that I can maintain clarity in terms of keeping track of them and also reporting them. If I need a fever chart for any given subfolder, all that I need to do is click that particular subfolder, and if I click this multiple project fever chart, I get this fever chart. Whereas if I want to get the fever chart of all projects in the subfolder, what I need to do is just click this particular icon, include subfolder, and click search. And now all the projects in all the subfolders are listed in this main folder. And if I want this fever chart of multiple projects in all the subfolders, all that I need to do is just click that button, and here I get idea about various different projects in my portfolio. And if I unclick this, all those projects disappear from my main folder, but they all reside in the subfolder. So this is more of a reporting feature, and you can use it to report in an aggregated way. All right, so we discussed about few aspects of BM3 software as well as CCPM methodology. All this will help you to get started, and once you start using it and once you start exploring it, you will learn more and more. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.